All right, guys. How's your weekend going?
Good.
Thanks. So, I really enjoyed being here on Friday and speaking to you guys and getting to meet you a little bit. Obviously, in that short period of time, can't remember everybody's name, but one of the things that I wanted to do to start off is just kind of get you guys talking and kind of find out a little bit more about you. I don't know if you ever have seen these. What would you rather? So I'm going to ask you some questions, and if you just want to answer or whatever, or talk amongst yourselves about it. But so we're going to look at this, and it's would you rather? So here we go. Would you rather lose all your money and valuables, or would you rather all of the pictures you have ever taken? So would you rather lose all your valuables and your money, or all the pictures you've ever taken? Who would rather lose all their money and valuables? Anybody here would rather? How about pictures? You guys would rather lose pictures? What's that? What's that? Oh, what if your valuables are your pictures? No, that's a good one. That's a good one. But if you lose all your pictures, it's not. Yeah. Let's try another one here. Would you rather score the winning point in the championship game, whether it be maybe a gold medal if you're a swimmer now, or would you rather win the Academy Award for Best Actor or Actress?
You know my answer.
Anybody here act? Yeah. Have you been in shows? TV plays? Cool. Anybody want to win a gold medal or win a championship? Super Bowl winners? Any Dodger fans in here? Angel fans? There's no Giants fans in here, Sam. Praise Jesus. All right. Moving on. Would you rather kick a puppy or make a small child cry? What would you rather do? Kick a puppy or make a small child cry? This is going to tell a lot about you on how you answer this question. Who would kick a puppy? Anybody? Oh. Raising their hands need Jesus. But wait a minute. Who wants to make a small child cry? I don't know which one's it. All right. I think I have one more. Would you rather always say everything that's on your mind? Like always, or never speak again? Who would rather never speak again? Really?
I used to do that.
Never speak or speak your mind? You would rather not speak too? Who would always say what's on their mind? Is there anybody in here who just does it anyway? You just speak your mind? Has it gotten you in trouble? Many a times. All right. That's over. Just as you get started here. It was interesting to listen to you guys. It was pretty awesome to hear some of the affirmations that you gave each other for your birthdays. It's always funny to hear guys talk because it's like, I'm sorry to punch you in the face, or all this crazy stuff, and girls are like, oh, thanks for talking to me. It's always interesting to see that, although guys are so violent. But where's that? I think her name was Amy. She was throwing elbows on her. She might have a different thing to say about that. But I'm going to pray real quick for us, and then we'll get into this. Father, thank you so much for your love and your grace. Thank you for this opportunity once again to be in front of these awesome students, Lord. Pray that you would just speak through me, Lord, and that you would touch our hearts. The God that we wouldn't leave here the same, but God that we would leave changed and challenged. We thank you for this in your precious name. Amen. I've got something to show you guys.
Mr. Pitts. It's probably a fortunate name. Where are you? Mr. Pitts, if you open your notes, page 542, read the first stanza of 45.
The verses to make much of time?
Yes. Come on. Somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem. Now, who knows what that means? Carpe diem. That's seize the day. Very good, Mr. Meeks. Another unusual name. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Why does the writer use these lines? Because he's in a hurry. No! Ding! And you're playing anyway. Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. I'd like you to step forward over here and peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times. I don't think you really looked at them. They're not that different from you, huh? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable of? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. If you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. You hear it?
Nothing like a happy video to start the Sunday morning, right? I was talking to my friend Sean that I just met this weekend, and he was telling me about this church, and that this church was established about 40 years ago. Obviously, none of you were born at that time. I was, unfortunately. But so this church started in this area right here, right? This was the main sanctuary. This is where Big Church was, as I like to call the church that goes on in the main sanctuary. It's amazing to think about the lives that actually were sitting in this room. You knew incoming 7th graders. One of the amazing things is that there have been students your age that have sat in this room and are now in high school or now in college or even adults. Because 10 years ago, this is when this became the youth room. And it would be interesting if we could be a fly on the wall back there and to see how many lives were touched and changed within these last 40 years. From the time when adults were meeting in this room to have church service, to 10 years ago when all of a sudden this became the youth room. And other high school students and junior high students maybe were in this room, and how they were going through some of the same things that you're going through now in your life. The challenges that you face, the arguments that you have at home, the way that you feel about your friends and about yourself, and just kind of all these things that have ever gone on. Other students have sat in this room. And like I said on Friday night, one thing I said was this, is that as we get older, life just doesn't become clearer. It just doesn't become easier. It's not like now we have all the answers on how to deal with the self-esteem issues or how to deal with our temptations or any of those types of things. It's something that we continue to battle. And I know that when Danny has been your youth pastor and continues to be for this short period of time longer, and you'll still be friends with him beyond this, he's not just a youth pastor. He is living life with you. The same with Hannah, as she is your leader, girls. She is experiencing life with you. She goes through temptations. Danny goes through temptations. The senior pastor of this church goes through temptations, goes through the trials and tribulations of life, just like all of us do. The difference between us and you is that because of our experiences, we've learned, hopefully, from our mistakes and from the things that happen to us. I like this clip because it talks about seize the day. When do you guys go back to school? When is first day? So I know you probably don't want to think about it, but about a month. About a month from now, I'm sorry. Your parents are going to rejoice that day, but the rest of you won't be here. But think about this, though, and I know you don't want to think about school, but I'm wondering if, as you are sitting in this room, how are you preparing for that? Not just are you reading, or are you studying, or doing math, or whatever. I'm not asking you about that. What I want to know is how are you preparing for the battle that's going to be taking place on that very first day? Because you know what it's like. I know for you incoming 7th graders, it's a new school, it's a new situation you're coming into. You're coming in, it's difficult coming into this room with older students, other friends that are here, and it's hard to find where is my place in this youth group. But imagine now you're going to a new school. How are you planning that? I would challenge you this morning to begin to start thinking about, what is my place at my school? What is my place in my friend group? And maybe you're sitting here and you're thinking, you're dreading to go back to school, not because you have to wake up and not because all of a sudden there's homework and reports and tests. Maybe it's because you get bullied. Or maybe it's because you don't have friends. In my last youth group, I had a student, his name was Dylan. And Dylan, his freshman and sophomore year, really struggled because he didn't know what friend group he belonged to. He was a great kid in the youth group, man. Loved Jesus, volunteered, did everything, did all the events, did everything, possible that he could do within the youth ministry, and then some. But when he came to school, he just didn't have friends. A lot of his friends in the youth group were older, so when the lunch came, they didn't have lunch together because they had separate lunches times for that school. So he found himself staying in the library or going to a teacher's classroom and just eating his lunch there. Maybe that's something that terrifies you, or maybe it's all of a sudden the friend group that you've been hanging out with aren't the best influences in your life. I don't know what your summer's been like. I don't know any of you and where you stand in your faith and how important Jesus is to you, or maybe it's kind of taking a back seat. I don't know. But maybe, just maybe, this summer something's changed in you. Maybe after Friday, or maybe after this morning, or something that Pastor Danny has taught you is finally connects. And you do want to change your life, or you want to start living for Jesus and making better choices and following Him better. All of a sudden now it's like, okay, but how am I going to do that in the friend group that I have? Because they don't treat everybody as kindly or as cool as everybody else should be treated. Or maybe they pick on you, whatever it may be. What is your plan? How do you seize the day? So I would challenge you this way. I'm going to challenge you a lot this morning. I'm going to challenge you this way. Is I want you to begin to think about what it is that you need in your life. What do you need Jesus to do? If I were to say to you, and I know this is going to sound like I'm crazy, if I were to say to you, okay, I invited my friend Jesus to come and be here. He's going to be here at 11:45. He's going to come walking through these doors. And you're like, what? That's crazy. No, seriously, if that were to happen and he were to come in here, after all the shock and awe of him being here and maybe the unbelief that that's actually really him, if it finally connected in you that, yeah, that is Jesus, Jesus is here, and he were to say to you, what do you want from me? Would you know right away? There's a story in Mark I'm going to read to you. It's not on the screen. It's a story about a guy who was blind from birth. His name was Bartimaeus. And I'm going to read to you out of Mark chapter 10, starting at verse 46. It says this: Then they came to Jericho, and as Jesus and his disciples, together with a large crowd, were leaving the city, a blind man, Bartimaeus, was sitting by the roadside begging. When he heard it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Many rebuked him and told him to be quiet, but he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stopped and said, Call him. So they called to the blind man, Cheer up, on your feet, he's calling you. Throwing his cloak aside, he jumped to his feet and came to Jesus. What do you want me to do for you? Jesus asked. The blind man said, Rabbi, I want to see. Go, said Jesus, your faith has healed you. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus along the road. So many things in here that's kind of really cool to think about. Bartimaeus had always, from what we gather, begged for money, begged for food. He was blind. He couldn't do much else. And so obviously back then, and maybe even now, those with those types of disabilities were kind of looked down upon. People would either walk on the other side of the street if they saw them, or just ignore them, or maybe throw some money or food at them. And it's interesting that when you have that kind of a disability in one of our senses, it maybe heightens the others. And so I'm sure as Bartimaeus was sitting there begging, he probably began to hear the crowd talk. And this sense of excitement was coming over that Jesus was coming, that Jesus was actually here. And I'm sure throughout his years, or the time that Jesus was there doing his ministry, I'm sure through different conversations that he was able to overhear, began to hear about who this Jesus is, because why else would he get excited that this guy was coming? He could have been just some royalty guy. He could have been just a super rich guy or whatever. But he understood and knew he had to have heard stories that Jesus could heal. Right? And so when Jesus was coming, he begins to call out to Jesus. And it's interesting to me that those that are around really don't understand who Jesus was. Because all the more that Bartimaeus called out, all the more the people that are around him were telling him to be quiet. He might hear you. I have no doubt that if that were the situation today, and you were amongst the crowd, and somebody who you knew had a disability, and there was Jesus coming, I don't have a doubt that any of you would be like, dude, let's get this guy over here. Let's get Caleb over there, or let's get somebody over there, Danny over there, because he needs Jesus' healing. And so he's crying out, Jesus, Son of Nazareth, have mercy on me. And he yells it so loud and so much that Jesus hears him, stops and calls him. And then he asks him the big question, what is it you want me to do for you? What is it that you need? Bartimaeus didn't go, well, the cloak I just threw in the dirt, it's kind of old. It's got holes in it. Can I get a new cloak? Or, Jesus, can you give me like this huge loaf of bread and some cheese? Can you help a brother out, with that? He didn't ask for a house. He didn't ask for a wife. He knew exactly what he needed. He said, Jesus, I want to see. And Jesus' response was, go. Your faith has healed you. So what is it that you need? As you get ready for school coming up in August, maybe it is the schoolwork that you are fearing. Maybe it's your senior year, and all of a sudden the realization that, man, after this year, it's college and all these other things. Maybe it's the expectation of your parents, the pressure that they're going to put on you. What is it that you need? Because I'm going to tell you that Jesus is not going to walk through that door easily.